Hello and welcome to Fen Business. We are at SIBOS and we are in conversation with Rajkiran Rai, the CEO of Union Bank of India. Sir, welcome on the show.
Thank you.
I would like to have your perspective on Union Bank of India and also the banking industry in India right now. So currently, Indian banking sector is going through a changing and a challenging time. We have seen a lot of issues, whether the bad loan and the NBFC fiasco. What is the way out specifically for Union Bank of India? Because we have seen a lot of bad loan issues. Again, now most of the top banks are buying some stakes in NBFCs. What is the way out do you see for the PSU bank, specifically big one like you?
If you look at the banking industry as a whole, we suffered and continue to suffer from some of the legacy issues, particularly on the NPA front. So I think we are slowly coming out of these issues. IBC is a game changer that way. We have seen some resolutions and some resolution will happen this quarter and next quarter also. It has changed the way we do banking now. So hopefully now the banks with a decent provision cover on most of these NPAs, it is a question of a few more quarters that the banking industry will be back to very stable profits, and maybe the capitalization which is likely to happen in the next 2 quarters will further strengthen the public sector space. I am very sure it is not going to be same for all public sector banks, but then public sector banks which are able to really understand the changing scenarios and change their systems, processes to the changing world, maybe a lot of technology, digitization, these are the buzzwords today even in SIBOS. So those banks will definitely will end up as very successful in the times to come. So Union Bank of India, we have done a lot of work on this. We have learned from the things which have gone wrong, and we are also adjusting our business models accordingly. So we are centralizing the credit, because actually the biggest problem what we saw is on the credit side actually. So credit side basically it may be on the selection of beneficiary, proper risk assessment, it is the process, it is the monitoring, every part actually is being looked into. We are working on every bit of it. Today as we talk, 72% of our credit process are centralized. We were aiming at 80% for March, but the way it is going, I think I'll hit 85%. Wow. This is a very big achievement, because today, right from agriculture to corporate credit, everything is getting centralized. We have created separate verticals. We have strengthened our monitoring, we have strengthened our recovery, we have strengthened our marketing activity. So I think maybe the change will be felt, because today whatever we do, it has a lag effect in improving the efficiency of the bank. So it will take some time. Meanwhile, these NPAs and the higher provisioning requirements were taking away all operating profits what we are doing. Maybe I think it is few quarters away when the positive effect of all these changes will be seen. And I am very sure maybe 1920 is a year where we will see a lot of differentiation among public sector banks, and the banks which have invested time in correcting their systems and processes will see the benefit in the 1920.
So obviously we are at SIBOS, so I will speak specifically about technology. But before that, when you mention about centralized process, what exactly it is? Are you we have a separate unit under central process which will look at all the credits that you are giving to corporates? How is it?
Yeah, actually it is exactly the same. As a concept, it is not new actually. In the retail space, most of the banks have implemented this hub and spoke model, where the branches generate the lead, hub takes over, does the inspection, processing, sanction and all that, and then it goes for the disbursement to the branch again. This is basically the credit centralization model around public sector space. So we have extended this from retail to MSME, then to mid corporate, large corporate. Anyway, we were operating through centralized processing. So, and we have taken it to agriculture also. As we speak, actually we have more than 20 centers which work in a hub and spoke model even for the agriculture. So this is the main activity, and the other pieces because credit is one part. then how you generate leads.
Yeah.
So today we have created a marketing vertical with a strength of about 900 people. We have 50 customer acquisition groups working at various parts of the country. So lead generation also is another centralization we have done, and the monitoring side, and then like we are working on all those pieces, and we are using a lot of technology in most of this.
Okay. So, if you take a perspective on the entire bad loan fiasco, there were many expert views and also bankers agree that consortium was one of the big issue because, there were like 23, 26 banks giving, loan to one person and he flied away.
Yeah.
Or many other people just flied away.
Yeah.
Have you changed the norms of consortium now? How are you trying to implement something different so that the due diligence will be really strong?
Yes, actually, if there is one piece missing was the monitoring side.
Right.
Actually, a lot of investment happens on the credit sanction process. Per se, we will not say that the sanctions were wrong.
Right.
It is basically on the second phase where the disbursement, where it goes to the branches, where the monitoring has failed, maybe ensuring the utilization, end use of funds and those aspects, and also keeping a track on the progress of the investment, what we are doing, and on the working capital side, managing the receivables, keeping control. So this is where we have seen some failures, and that is where we are working on. So I think like as we go along, I think these systems will be stabilized. But then we have implemented one agenda which is called ease actually. This is like DFS is monitoring it also. There we have come to some common understanding saying that the banks, when they enter consortium, they will have a minimum 10% share. So that ensures that we will not have more than 8 to 10 banks in a consortium.
Okay.
So that banks coming with smaller shares, they will not have a space in the consortium. Right. Existing accounts, gradually we will see that the smaller banks move out and the bigger banks take over the share. But any new business, if we enter with minimum 10%. Okay. So that is a good step actually. So with that actually we have few number of banks. Because another after effect we have is when the account goes bad, where when it involves monitoring and all that, banks with smaller share, they create more problem than the bigger banks, particularly on the resolution process, which we have seen. Yeah. So I think it is a good step that we have only 8 to 10 banks in the consortium.
So that is the biggest learning of
yes.
bad loans. And any maximum number of banks that you want to adopt on the consortium?
No, it naturally when we say that minimum entry point is 10% of the limits, it actually even if everybody takes 10, maximum is 10. But what we see is mostly, actually most of the syndications what we are seeing today, it is ending up with only 5-6 banks.
Yes.
Now even the borrowers, the good borrowers have also learned their lessons. So they don't want to have many banks because see the process and sanction takes a longer time if you have more banks, because ultimately the documentation happens when all the sanctions are in place. So generally for many accounts to reach a final stage of documentation, it used to take a year.
Yeah.
Even after the principal sanctions, getting the final sanctions, it used to take time. Now with 5-6 good banks coming in, the process can get completed in 2 to 3 months. Absolutely. So this is really helping. It is a very good decision. Right. And DFS is really monitoring these and pushing this.
Great, sir. Wish you the best on that note, and thank you so much for talking to Film Business.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. So that was Rajkiran Rai from Union Bank of India, and he spoke about many issues about Indian banks. Thank you so much for watching Film Business.
Thank you.